It does. And I enjoy it though.
Undefeated people lose their desperation. You gotta take a few losses to get desperate again. You know?
I agree. I agree. Well, I tell you what,
Sir.
I'm here today with a young man that I admire.
Wow.
I'm here with Lawrence Hayes today, and this guy is sharp as crap. Okay, he really is, and he got a memory too. And I watch you do weddings where you just pow 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 pow, just rattle it off. And I mean, to me, that probably means you're doing too many weddings.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm here with Lawrence Hayes today, and if you're anywhere in the area or around here or any part of the world, you know who he is. Okay, I've known him for years. Great pastor. He's a real pastor. I was a pastor, not a good pastor. Okay, this sweater is going to aggravate me to death. But I don't know if it's stylish because I want to go a little stylish
I think
today.
it's stylish.
Okay, I'll leave it
Yeah,
up.
I think you're okay.
Like Jesse Waters.
Yeah.
He leaves his collar.
Yeah, you got to leave it up.
Okay, all right. So what I'm saying is he's a friend of mine, and I've always counted him as a friend of mine.
Absolutely.
And it was privileged, Janice and I, to sit underneath him as a pastor. It really was a blessing for us. And you're sharp in the mind. I mean, I really appreciate that and I admire that in you. Okay, I mean, you got that mind. You can rattle it off, and when you're preaching, you actually stay with the topic. That's pretty good.
Well,
okay?
thanks.
That's
Definitely the goal.
I would write it on an index card most of the time, you
Yeah.
know, and put it on the pulpit.
Right.
This is my topic, so I could keep going back and stay with it because I tend to go down a rabbit trail here or something like that, and
Yeah.
and do that. But I mean, I really did admire that with you. I mean, you know, and because sometimes it seems like in ministry, there's people that first thing you can go too long.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And people are not with you
Right.
when you go that long.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose them.
You lose them.
You really can lose
Yeah.
people. I mean, but one time I was at the church when you were pastoring, and we were sitting there with you, and I had come and brought my little daughter-in-law and my son. We'd all come that morning, okay?
Right. Yeah.
And you were doing communion. Well, we'd laid out all night. Okay, we'd been at a horse show somewhere, Bradshaw Mountain or something. Got in time, take a shower. You know, I got one eye open. You know, I come in. You know, well, anyway, you was giving communion, and I fell asleep. And I dropped my wine. I dropped my wine down on the ground, and I happened to see it. I said, "Oh gosh." So I reached and got it back up, and I had just a little bit in the bottom, and my daughter-in-law poured a little bit of hers in there.
That is great.
I bowed my head.
That is great. And that was it. Yeah.
I was
get
gone.
it.
I was just gone.
Hey,
It was
listen,
just-
some people told me I'm the cure for their insomnia. So I get it.
Well, you know, it wasn't your fault. It was just, you know, I was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Man. I was just gone. It was just terrible. But it happens.
Oh, it's miserable feeling too because you want to stay awake and
Yeah.
you just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one night we'd laid out all night when I was pastoring. We'd laid out all night at a horse show, and they, you know, and which probably was a sin, but we laid out all night anyway. And we was there, and my little old son Colson was running the sound, and my other daughter was running the camera in the back.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, you know, I had two big monitors in the back of the church that I could see all the time, so I could tell where they were pointing the camera.
Right.
But all of a sudden, I seen the camera going up, and I looked, and she was asleep. And she was at the back running the camera, and she hadn't pushed it down. And I looked over at my son, and his mouth was open. He was running the sound, had his hand on the soundboard, got sound asleep. She's gone there. I said, well, you know, they got to rest in the Lord. They were poor little babies.
Yes.
I punished him.
But those are great memories, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
I mean, it's those kind of things, those kind of curveballs that
Yeah.
make it. You just talk about a wedding. One
Yeah.
time I did a wedding, and it was at a Donald Trump golf course. And I mean, it was
Man.
near Charlotte.
Yeah.
They had drones. I mean,
Right.
this thing was well to do.
Yeah.
And so they gave me the notes that they wanted me to say, which was unusual for me because I normally go with my own thing.
Right.
And so at the end of their notes, they didn't have Mr. and Mrs. You know, I pronounce you Mr. and Mrs.
Right.
I knew her really well, but I
Right.
didn't know him that well.
Okay.
So I didn't know his last name. So here they are. They got a drone over me. They got microphones on me. And I go, like to introduce for the first time in public, Mr. And as soon as I said Mrs., I was like, I don't know his last name. And if I whisper, it's going to pick it up.
Right.
So I went, my man, as pretty as she looks, you should introduce y'all. You turn around and introduce. And he took the mic and he introduced, and everybody was like, but it was just because I was a deer in the headlights, man. I'm just glad God gave me something that quick. But, but somebody comes, I've never seen a wedding like that before. It's like, me neither. So, yeah, those kind of things are great memories, right?
Yeah. You know, I almost killed a lady one time at a baptism. I was baptizing her.
Yeah.
The water was cold, so cold. When I was standing there, I could feel nothing.
Right.
From the waist down, I was completely paralyzed.
Right.
But I figured, I was doing it. Well, anyway, she hadn't been out of the hospital long. She had heart surgery, and she wanted to be baptized because she thought she's going to die.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I baptized her and brought her back up, she couldn't breathe. And she said, I can't breathe. And I said, no, you're okay. But my mind said, she's going to die.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her, no, hold on, you're okay. But the whole time I'm thinking, I have killed this woman. Right here, but at least she's ready to go. Okay? I mean,
it's a whole different, leave it in the water, ain't it?
My buddy Steve Jones baptized a lady one time, and she just got out of the hospital, and they put her on a piece of styrofoam.
Yeah.
And pushed her. When we did, it flipped over. And I almost drowned her.
My gosh.
It's a dangerous time.
Right.
It's a dangerous time.
Yeah, it is. But it's so fun at the same time too, if you let it. I think some people take it too serious. Not saying that you're not supposed to, but you got to take those things that come every now and then and
enjoy.
Yeah.
I had and we're probably talking about stuff people don't. But anyway, there was a man by the name of Jack Long. He was a TV preacher for years. And he was from up in Charleston. He was on WVVA and Oak Hill and all that for a long time. I loved him. He just was my buddy.
Yeah.
But we went to Mexico together, and we were in Mexico. We were down there for a while, and Jack had a rough life growing up, but he was in a foster home, almost like an orphanage, and a guy got shot while he was in there. A little boy got killed, and he gets telling that story. And I listened to him because we was in the mountains back with the Indians, and we were going, and he would tell that story every night and stuff like that. So he got ripped one night, and I said, you don't mind if I tell your story, do you? He said, no, go ahead. I said, I believe I can do it better than you. Okay? So I got to tell him the story about the orphanage and stuff.
Yeah.
And I can do what I want. Old as I am, who cares? So, I got to tell him the story. He was sitting on front row. He just cried.
Yeah.
He cried. He said, I'm telling you, I'll never tell it again. You can have that story from now on.
He just signed it over to you.
He just cried.
I got it.
He said, I've never heard it so beautiful. Well, I tell a lot of stuff because I can.
Right.
I just figure I can. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I talk about stuff. I don't know. I enjoy my life, and I enjoy people.
Oh.
I think it's important, don't you?
Well, somebody asked me one time, how do you love a God you can't see? Mm-hmm. And I said, that's easy. You love his children that you can.
Exactly.
Good, bad, no matter what, everybody is created by God.
Yeah.
And he had their mindset. And so the way I love God is loving people. And loving people that's the best thing you'll ever do.
Amen.
There's nothing like it, And no, you don't always get love back.
Right.
But that's not love, right?
Exactly.
Love, that kind of love is not what you get in return. It's just what keeps flowing out of you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I studied one time, and I've shared this before, for a whole year on nothing but God the Father.
Yeah.
And I found this.